were always one to be out in the open and say what you feel and mean. So now it's all documented, right?
Yes.
And why these 4 particular categories? Like, how did you narrow it down?
Well, I wanted to choose like categories topics that I knew something, like I wanted to choose some topics that I knew something about and some topics that I knew nothing about, and then kind of blend them too, so I could blend them together. So I, obviously like marriage, I'm not married and I don't know why people continue to get married. So I wanted to explore that and it ended up being like much different than I had anticipated, because it was like a self-exploration. So I came out of it very much open to the idea of being married.
Yeah, you can see yourself doing that now?
Which is weird for me to say out loud, and now that I keep saying it, I'm like, oh gosh, now I'm going to have to get married.
You know what everyone's going to ask you
it.
now? Everyone's going to be like, okay, so who are the viable suitors?
No one. I have no suitors. That's why I'm so open to it.
Now you were like celibate for a year.
I wasn't celibate. I just was unlucky. It was not it was not a choice.
You're almost a virgin again or something, right?
Yeah. Is that what happens? It takes a year to re-virginize?
Yes. So now you need somebody to take your virginity away.
Okay, well, hopefully that can happen. Anyone? Guys?
Sundance is pretty big. I mean, it's small, but it's big. There's a big field.
You're going to hook up here, definitely. It's got that vibe, absolutely, yeah.
Now let's talk about drugs. You are open. You said you did some drugs back in the
day.
day.
Yeah.
But why explore this particular area?
Well, I just wanted, that was more, it wasn't like to glorify drugs. The drugs one is more like to just illustrate how people behave when they are on certain things, like people mixing sleeping pills and alcohol, which I did on camera, to show what you look like, and if you want to do that, and if you want to rock that look out, go for it. And then, what you're like when you're stoned, and just to kind of run the gamut of all the different kinds of things that people kind of take responsibly or don't take responsibly. So I just did it for that kind of impact and thought, why not get a little messy on camera and show people, what they're like.
Well, what better authority than Willie Nelson?
Yeah, Willie Nelson was great. I mean, he's been stoned for a really long time.
Did it just permeate off of him? I mean, I know you smoked a few with him, but does he just ooze?
Yes. I mean, yes.
Hi.
Yeah. And it's a very small bus. I mean, it's a big bus, but it's a bus. So you get on and you're just like, oh gosh, who's going to drive me home?
And were you afraid of ayahuasca? The only thing I know of ayahuasca is Robin Quiver's take on it, you know?
Yeah, I talked to her about that.
Yeah, but were you afraid to have the cameras roll? Or at some point were you like, oh God, we can't show that?
No, I know, I would never do that. I showed everything. I'm vomiting in it on camera. So no, I probably would have only done it for camera because I wasn't that curious about ayahuasca, but I thought it's this new thing. It's kind of like, to me, like what mushrooms, I think it's like what mushrooms were when they came out, probably in the 70s. Like ayahuasca is this new thing that people think they're like healing themselves with and having transcendent experiences and life-changing moments. That didn't happen for me, but I tried.
Basically shitting yourself.
I know. Yeah, I didn't have that happen, luckily, but I did vomit, so you can stay tuned for that. You're welcome.
This is almost like the no apologies tour for you, I feel like, because you never apologize for what you post or what you say. Is it necessary that people do this?
If they want to. I don't want to. I think you can't do that. You just got to keep moving on and do your thing, and that's my thing.
Just say it and
yeah.
Own it, right?
Yeah, own it. I don't
Mm-hmm. And then with female comics, do you feel like there's, I don't know, like there should be sort of this camaraderie, but there's not. As of late, other comics are accusing Amy Schumer of stealing her jokes.
Oh, that's ridiculous. I mean, all girls do the same material. We're all going to sound alike. If you're a girl, you're talking about dating and sleeping with guys and blah, 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 whatever else. Eventually, we're going to cross over each other's material. I highly doubt she's stealing anybody's material.